What's up guys, my name is Lauren and welcome back to my channel. We sold our house and we are closing in May, so May is going to be a crazy budget month. Let's go over our May budget, but before we do, if you like this spreadsheet, you can get in my Etsy shop and it will be 20% off for the rest of April with the code April2023. That'll all be linked to the video description, and without further ado, let's just jump right into the spreadsheet. All right, here's our budget for May 2023. It's been really tricky to figure out this budget because basically we are gonna have to pay our mortgage and rent for May, and so we can't afford that cash flow wise, and so we will be taking some of the money from the closing to pay for that, which is really kind of like a reimbursement because we're going to get a partial reimbursement for our mortgage and condo fees and everything anyway. We start our lease on our apartment on the 1st of May and then we close on the 8th, so there is a little more than a week overlap, but we did that on purpose so we could have time to move and like clean up the house for closing and everything. With 2 young children, I have an almost 1-year-old and an almost 4-year-old. So yeah, my older one will be 4 in May and then the younger one will be 1 in July, which is crazy. So yeah, anyway, we have been trying to figure out how we're going to do this for May. So anyway, the May budget is like stressing me out because it's like not a normal budget month and I don't want to take any money from the closing to be using in our budget. I want it all to go towards financial goals. So like having to take any of it stresses me out, but that's okay. It's what we need to do to get our bills paid and not go into debt. So that's what we're going to do. One of you guys asked me a good question, and that is what happens if the buyer backs out and you've signed this lease, and what goes on that in that case? Like, will you be able to pay your mortgage? And it's a really good question. The way our contract is written is that there's tens of thousands of dollars that the buyer had to put in escrow with our realtor in order to sign to actually like solidify the purchase. And then we have like a period where before we close of like, I think it was about 6 weeks. But if she backs out for any reason, we get to keep that money. So we get tens of thousands of dollars as like damages for the inconvenience of having to find a new buyer and having had to wait all that time and stuff. So we are in good shape if the buyer backs out. Fingers crossed that closing goes well, but there's been no indication otherwise. So let's talk budget. Our income for this month, we're estimating $13,662. Now for Pay Yourself First, which is investing, I haven't put anything, and that's because, like I said, we're gonna take a little bit of money from the closing to pay for our like double rent mortgage month, and so I just didn't feel like it made sense to take any of that to like put towards investing or anything because it's not really like income. It's, you know, we want to decide intentionally what we're going to do with that money and not just like start throwing it at random places. So I didn't put anything to Pay Yourself First, which is investing for this month. So my Roth IRA, which my 2022 Roth is funded, thankfully, and we are going to work on my 2023 later this year. And then stock options, we are not putting anything for May. I mean, we may end up putting some, but it just depends what closing ends up looking like. We're just going to kind of like wait and see, but probably nothing in May. And so nothing for Pay Yourself First, except we technically do pay ourselves first through my husband's paycheck by contributing to his 401k, and so that is pre-tax, so that's not shown on this budget because this is after tax, like net budget. So nothing for Pay Yourself First. And for debt, we're just making our minimum debt payment on our last debt on our debt-free journey. May is month 41 of our debt-free journey. 41 months straight we've been paying off debt. If we just pay the minimum payment 1 month, I'm totally fine with that. So paying the minimum payment on my husband's loan of $830. All right, going to expenses. So you'll see here why like it's such an expensive month. So we've got our condo fee that we're gonna pay, and it'll be prorated through the closing. So we close on the 8th of the month, so we'll only have to pay for like, you know, 8 days of the condo fee, like a third of it, and then the buyer will have to pay for the other 2/3. But again, that'll be all like settled in the closing. So even though we're taking some money from the closing and putting it into our budget, it's really like some of it's reimbursements for things we are paying a full month for, but we don't really need to. And so you'll see it says condo fee / storage. So in that line item for June, it'll just say storage. Because we are renting a storage locker for some of our stuff, we are going from a 1,500 square foot house to a 1,300 square foot apartment. However, our 1,500 square foot house also has a full finished basement. So it's not really been usable space for us that much because it's really expensive to heat, but it is usable space in terms of storage, and we would go down there sometimes. I set up a playroom and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff down there. If you follow me on Instagram, I've showed you guys like a bunch of stuff that I've been doing down there. It's basically packed at this point. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff down there, like a playroom, my husband's drum set, a bunch of storage stuff. And so yeah, we have to put stuff in storage, and we did declutter a lot. In fact, I looked since January, we have sold I think 32 pieces on Facebook Marketplace, and not like small things like cabinets, furniture, like all kinds of things. Let me look. What have we actually sold? Let's see. Yeah, just like a desk, a cabinet, some kid stuff, a wine rack, a barbecue, a bookshelf, a file cabinet, a mirror, a table, an office chair, just like so many things we've sold on Facebook Marketplace to kind of minimize the amount of stuff that's going to storage. So really the only things that are going to storage are like things we know we're gonna want in the next place, but we just don't have room for in the apartment. So we've spent hours and hours decluttering, but we do still need a storage unit. So that is where that fee is gonna go. It's around the same as our condo fee. Our condo fee was $207, and our storage is gonna be, I think, like $197. So it's kind of a wash there with those fees. Next, moving on to mortgage/rent. So we're not gonna have to pay $5,000 or $5,200 every month, but we do have our mortgage, which is like $2,100, $2,140, I think it is. And then our rent is going to be about $1,000 more than that per month, which may be really surprising to you guys, maybe not. Renting is really expensive right now, especially in our area, and rentals have come way down. This same place like 6 months or a year ago was over $4,000 a month. So I feel like I'm getting a deal, even though you guys may think like that's crazy. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, and there's a bunch of amenities, and it's very new and nice. So, you know, that's what we're paying for. It's also in a really nice area, and so it is expensive. At the same time, we will not have to pay for any repairs or anything. So I'm gonna do a breakdown like after we actually are in there and we see how much it's costing us for utilities and things. But I think it's basically gonna be a wash. Maybe the apartment will be a couple $100 more a month when you add everything up, but when you add up like property taxes and insurance and repairs and everything like that that comes with owning a home versus just paying rent, even though we're paying about $1,000 more a month, I think it's gonna be like pretty similar to what we were paying for the house when you add in everything. So yeah, expensive housing costs for May. Life insurance is normal. Internet, this is going to be changing. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be, but we are actually going to add our cell phone to our internet plan, and then I think all of that is going to cost us $120 a month. That's what I've been told. So we are planning to do that. We were told that also through, what is it, Xfinity, like it's the same towers as the Verizon towers, which we currently have Verizon, so it should be the same exact service. So that is my plan after we get in there to set that up. So I'm not exactly sure what the bill will be, but it's just going to be a weird month. Like usually I'm right on for these expenses, and these are all going to be funky. So home security, we are not getting rid of our home security, but when I called to let them know we were moving and then we wanted to bring it with us, they gave us 2 months free, which was really nice. And so yeah, we usually pay $28 a month through Simply Safe, and they give us 2 months free, which I really appreciated. I didn't even ask for it, and they just offered that. So that was really cool. Car insurance is $111. Again, I have to call our car insurance and tell them that we're moving to a new town and see what the new rates are going to be and try to negotiate that down a little bit, because it used to be $91, and then last month it went up to $111. So yeah, we will do that. And then cell phone, $817. So basically to switch to Xfinity for our cell phone and have like get this deal with our cell phone and internet bundled, we have to leave Verizon, and Verizon, we financed our phones, and so we need to buy out the rest of that financing. There's only like, I think maybe less than 6 months left. And I don't know if you guys remember, I got a new cell phone as a present to myself, and my husband did too. We each got new iPhones when we hit $100,000 of debt paid off, and that was a year and a half ago, which I can't even believe. So yeah, we are gonna buy out the rest of the contract. That is a plan, plus pay our normal bill and then transfer our service over. So again, this is an estimate, but we'll see. Spotify is always $10. Groceries, I put $1,200. We've been going over on groceries for a few months now, so I usually do $1,100, but I increased this to $1,200. One, because it's a moving month and we're probably going to get more takeout than usual, and two, my baby is now, like I said, almost 1, and she's eating a lot of food, and I think we might just need to up our grocery budget to $300 a week, which seems like a lot. It really does, but we are gonna do what we need to do to pay for our groceries, and I'm gonna try not to worry about it too much. Gas, I usually do $150, but I upped this to $200. We went over on gas last month, and so I think this is what we're gonna need. Medical, I put $150. My husband and I have an FSA, but we haven't gotten around to like updating all of our things for our copays to the FSA card that just reloaded on April 1st. We have been busy this month, so yeah, we need to get that together. So medical's just still been coming out of our like checking account or whatever. So hopefully for May, I know there's some charges at the end of April that I put on my credit card that's gonna get paid after the 1st. So I gave us $150 for medical for May, but hopefully like anything that gets charged in May actually goes on the FSA, and then we don't have to pull this out of our budget anymore because we do have about $3,000 on there. And then finally, miscellaneous, I always put $25, so that's what that is. So for this month, we are at $8,363 for expenses. All right, moving on to the sinking funds, which are also a little expensive this month. So emergency fund and vacation fund aren't getting anything. We are going to be taking some vacations. We were just talking about last night, hopefully like at the end of summer and then in December and then also like early next year. So we should be like starting to vacation again, which is exciting. But yeah, nothing going on for those funds right now. My husband and I and my 2 daughters each get $150 for spending money. And then for girls' activities and preschool, we budget $1,000, and then Miles is getting $1,250 in May because he needs to get a teeth cleaning, and so I just want to put an extra $1,000 in his account for that. I don't think it'll be quite that much. We got a quote, but we might get some other quotes, so we're working on that. And then for gifts, I just put whatever extra we had in our budget, which is $219. Our gifts fund is like quite negative right now actually, because we spent a lot on gifts in April, which you'll see in my April budget closeout. And then for car maintenance, we're just putting a normal $50. I changed this to apartment maintenance, but it's kind of like house maintenance / apartment maintenance this month. It's so much because it is negative from some repairs we did on our house in like February or March, and so I wanted to get this fund caught up, plus give us a little bit extra for things we need to get for the apartment. Although, to be honest, I've already been spending money on things for the apartment, and like I'm doing it on the side outside of this budget because I just like I'm deciding how much I want to share with you guys about like how much we're spending for the closing and new things for the new apartment, and yeah, I'm still deciding what I want to share. So I'm just doing that on the side. So this will be a fund still, even though we are selling our house. There's still maintenance when it comes to an apartment. Even though we don't have to pay for like appliance repairs and things like that in an apartment, there are things like, for example, our paper towel holder is rusty and like I'd really like to buy a new one, or like you need a new shower curtain or a new trash can or something like that. That's where those things would come out of this apartment maintenance fund. So we still are going to keep this even though we're in an apartment and no longer in a house. It'll just be less money that's going to it because we're not going to have to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars for repairs in an apartment, which is awesome. I'm really hoping that we like it because it just feels like such a relief not to own a house anymore. It's nice to get a break from the responsibility of home ownership, and yeah, I'm really excited. I hope we really, really love it because I'd like to stay there. Like, I don't know, I'm thinking we may stay there longer than I originally planned if we really like it, but we'll see. Okay, utilities, $600. This house is very expensive to heat, and it has been a cold, long winter, so I expect our utilities are going to be expensive in May because April's still been pretty cold, even though we did have like a little heat wave for a couple days. So I budgeted $600 for utilities there, and then our normal $150 for Christmas and the girls' birthdays. So sinking funds is $4,469 this month. And so let's just take a peek really quickly at the budgeted summary. So as I mentioned, no pay yourself first, nothing yellow this month in this pie chart, but we are sending 6.1% of our income to debt. Even though we're not making an extra payment, we're still sending 6% to debt to pay the minimum payment. Expenses is really expensive this month, as I mentioned. 61.2% of our money is going to expenses, and then 32.7% to sinking funds. So that is it for today's video. I am excited to get through May, get through this move. May's budget recap is probably going to be nuts. So subscribe if you aren't, if you want to follow along and see how May ends up being for us budget wise. As I mentioned, the spreadsheet is on sale on my Etsy shop. Use code April 2023 through April 30th to get 20% off. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.